fabrication going on in that room about things she was saying. You know, for example, our first responders, they weren't going. That money was really important, and without it, they aren't going to get the help that they deserve. They were there for us. There's a reason why our police officers and our firefighters are supporting me, not her. They know that I've got their backs when they have ours.
Are you talking about 911?
It seemed like nobody really answered the question about whether they would be willing to give a little bit on the Bush-era tax cuts. If
they didn't actually get all the way back to me. I mean, I think, you know, obviously I've been in office for 4.5 years. If we could figure out how to get budgets passed and balanced with Governor Pawlenty while he was running for president, I think we can figure out how to get this done. The real question is, she's the one that's in Congress. I mean, this has got to get done before the end of the year. Her excuses that she voted against adjourning, well, that's not good enough. You know, perhaps what she really could have done, did she walk over to anybody on the other side of the aisle and say, let's get 97% done now, and then let's come back and find out the rest about what the best way is to create jobs? What I'm hearing from my business folks, in general, I mean, there's a few exceptions, but in general is their personal income isn't what creates jobs. What creates jobs is their companies, and being able to reinvest in their companies, have tax credits that can help them grow jobs here at home, stopping the practices that really help grow jobs in China, you know, India or Vietnam. That's the kind of stuff that will make a difference here at home. So, you know, I'd be open to looking at some things, but I think the real priority has got to be on the people who are struggling right now. Why is she holding out for the top 2%, top 3%? Is it because that's who most of her donors are? You know, again, look at it. She's holding out for them. That's who's giving her most of the money. She voted against reform on Wall Street when the meltdown happened. It's given her a lot of money. The health industry has given her a lot of money. You know, she went ahead and she put in for a pardon for somebody she knew was a convicted drug dealer and money launderer. And she's not putting things out there in front for her constituents. Well, where's her priorities? For me, who I'm going to go represent is our seniors, our veterans, our kids, our families, our communities, our small businesses, period. Let's stop this.
What did Bill Clinton do for your campaign, his stop here on Sunday?
I think he reminded people that we can get out of a hole that's been created by others and get back on a pathway to prosperity, that you have to make hard decisions just like we do in balancing the budget here, but that you can create jobs, you can bring real hope again, and that you can get rid of the deficit. And that's what we need to do now. And, you know, his common sense, I think, you know, it's the kind of thing where you bring people back together and reminding people. You know, I was at a couple of our colleges in the last couple of days, and if you think about what some of the bigger issues facing people coming into a first job are, you know, how are you going to pay for your student loans? How are you going to pay for health insurance? How are you going to pay for rent, or if you're lucky a mortgage, but most likely rent? How are you going to pay for your car insurance? And right now, Congresswoman Bachmann has voted against and says she would repeal provisions that have helped now for the first time in a long time keep student loans down, be on a small fixed percentage of income, and she voted against and has said she would repeal the provisions that would let a young adult stay on their parents' health insurance until they're 26. All right, well, right now those are two more things they've got to worry about, and I think it's important as we're moving forward that we're actually thinking about how we're getting people ahead, not how we're going to go ahead and keep people down.
Did the president help you raise money?
You know, I'm not actually sure what the numbers were. It was great that he was here, in most part because we wanted to make sure that we could remind people about a different time where people really could come together and get things done. So it was great to have him here.
Jason talked about turning up the heat a little bit. Is that any way recognition? Do you feel like you need to make up some ground before Tuesday?
Actually, I think I've been pretty consistent through this whole campaign. People are fed up. I'm fed up. You know, I'm somebody who voted to cut the budget by 10%, and she ignores that. I think that, you know, we have right as members of the 6th District to know really where she stands and what she's going to do. On Tuesday, she talked again about feathers and mailboxes for our seniors when she knows dang well there's $2.5 trillion that is in the trust fund for Social Security. She is making people scared, making people be misleading, and that's what's wrong with Washington. And so it's important, you know, she pushed debates until the end. We were talking upstairs about what's over 20 debates now in the gubernatorial campaign. We had agreed to 7. She didn't agree. We only had one in the district, so we actually already thought our debate season was over as of Tuesday. And then you look at it, we offered to do a series of town hall meetings, which I have to say have been well attended, and the Republicans are getting all their questions answered. What's she afraid of? Why won't she go ahead and actually tell people where she stands? And so as we're coming up to the end of this election, we have been reaching out in a very strong way throughout our campaign, grassroots, door to door, neighbor to neighbor. We've knocked on over 100,000 doors. We've called over 130,000 people. And, you know, she spent almost $9 million now making a bunch of hooey about me. And what does she try to do? Buy an election? So I think it's important when we have only a small amount of time that we are direct with people about where things stand.
Will the outcome of the governor's race impact your race to office?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, I'm somebody who shares a lot of voters right now with Governor Pawlenty. In my Senate district, you know, it was me, then Senator Klobuchar, then Governor Pawlenty. So I believe that what's important is that we're getting our message out to people, and regardless of who's governor, I'm going to be looking forward to being a partner with them for the state.
Senator Clark, it's easy for politicians to talk about outsourcing. That's often a common thing to talk about in a race. But in reality, a lot of economists say that Americans benefit from outsourcing, that it improves our standard of living because we can get goods more cheaply. I mean, how realistic is it to put on a platform that you're going to be pulling jobs back from overseas?
Well, let's face it, there's several things. Right now, oil companies still get big tax breaks. They might have needed them 100 years ago when they were a new industry. Do they really need them now? No. Let's close those. Let's go ahead and use those to either pay down the deficit and a portion, again, to help with tax credits to maybe grow good renewable jobs here. Instead of manufacturing wind turbines in Spain, let's be manufacturing them here. We obviously are more than capable of doing that. And so I think that that's a good example. What I'm hearing over and over is that a number of the provisions that are in the tax code really just have made it easier for people to actually decide to renounce their citizenship and decide to be citizens of another country after this has happened. That's one of the bills Michele voted for. I think that as we are looking right now in these challenging times, that while we are part of a global community, we need to focus our resources, our precious small resources, especially with such a high deficit, on creating jobs here, not on going ahead and creating jobs elsewhere.
Real quick, could I get a concise statement on why you wouldn't extend the Bush tax cuts?
I would extend them for 97% of people and small businesses, and I wouldn't extend the ones for the top, the wealthiest, because of a couple of reasons. One is that I think from a deficit standpoint, we can't afford it. $700 billion, we absolutely can't afford it. And two, they promised us we're going to have a whole bunch of jobs, the trickle-down economics, and it didn't happen. And so if we're serious about creating jobs and paying down the deficit, pay down the deficit, but take a small amount of them to help with incentives to help grow the jobs here.
Thank you.